Hello, boils and ghouls. My name is Ashley, and this week I watched the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. When I saw the trailer for this, I was really excited because the whole gang's back together again. My first thought was, oh, I miss Foggy's long hair. Now, after watching, I just miss Foggy. Now, when episode 1 opens, the music is beautiful and also immediately ominous. I knew right away something not good was going to happen, but I wasn't expecting what we got. I don't understand Marvel's fascination with having to punch us in the heart every once in a while. Okay, I'm old. I just had a birthday. I can't handle this anymore. I was really hoping that Foggy and Karen would be a prominent part of this again, but apparently not. They made that very clear very quickly because Foggy's not coming back and Karen moved away. So it seems like, this guy had some sort of issue with Foggy. And now, did I rewatch the previous series before this? No. I had been rewatching it, and I got to maybe season 2 and then got busy and forgot I was watching it. So I don't entirely remember what happens toward the end of that previous series. But, Poindexter seemed to have a problem and made it his business to find out where Foggy was. And unfortunately, somebody gave him up. Not that he was hiding or anything, he was out in public. But am I the only one that laughed when they said the suit's name was Poindexter? I grew up watching 80s movies. That was not a name you wanted to be called. But even though he is locked up, I have a feeling we're probably gonna see him again at some point. Now, as I was watching Matt go after this guy, and he had him up on the roof, I was screaming at the TV, throw him off, throw him off. And then he did. And I was like, oh, I really didn't expect him to do that. What I also wasn't expecting was for the dude to survive. I'd like to know how he managed to survive, because that's not normal. I was shocked the way he was tearing through that bar, and cops in there were calling it in. There was zero police response. But I guess that's kind of part of this narrative already, is that the cops aren't really doing anything, or the people feel they're not doing anything, they're not doing enough, and that's why they're pro vigilante like Daredevil and White Tiger. But EMS maybe should have been on the scene a little bit quicker. Matt wants to hang up the mask, basically retire from being Daredevil. And considering the title of the show, I have a feeling that's not going to last very long, because what good is a Daredevil show if he's not daredeviling around Hell's Kitchen? But I understand why he would want to separate himself, especially after what happened, I'm kind of surprised we didn't see any of Foggy's funeral. It just went straight from the incident to the courtroom. Yet we see a glimpse of a funeral for somebody else in episode 2. Weird, but okay. It seems that Wilson Fisk and Vanessa are still married, if you can call their relationship a marriage. She's been running the whole business, totally girl bossing her way through life, while he's just been convalescing, I guess, recovering, I think he calls it, healing from getting his ass beat by a vigilante, which, understandable. If you're legitimately healing, then yeah, you're gonna be bedridden for a while. But Vanessa said she sat by his bed for months, and all of a sudden now he decides to get up, which makes me feel like maybe he was just depressed and laying there, and he had healed and recovered and just couldn't bring himself to get up and do things, which fair. But he also kind of left her to run things on her own and figure it out on her own. So their marriage isn't great. They're in counseling, which honestly probably not a bad idea. Considering he was gone for so long, she decided to stray outside of their marriage. Apparently he was aware of it. He's not mad anymore, so he says. I guess we'll see. He seems okay right now. And they're working on things, even though it seems like she really doesn't want to be there. Now, the therapist that they're seeing is friends with Kirsten, and she kind of deceived her friend Heather and Matt and set them up on a blind date thing, but telling them each of the other one wanted to be a client, because she's the therapist and he's the lawyer. Turns out they actually really hit it off, which is great. Matt deserves to be happy after losing Foggy, and basically he's got nobody. I have a feeling just because it's Fisk, nothing good's gonna come of her being his therapist. But maybe she'll be alright. Maybe things will be alright. I feel like things are never alright when that man is involved, but that's just me. Wilson Fisk, much like his father, runs for mayor of New York, and shockingly he wins. Even though there's like this local girl running around, I assume she posted online, I don't remember, making this little show called the BB Report, and she's talking to people on the street and getting their honest opinions on the state of things and the mayoral election and what do they think of Wilson Fisk and whoever the hell he was running against, because I don't think they ever said. It seems like a lot of people don't like him, and yet he wins anyway. Is he gonna make things better in New York? Probably not. And people have told him that to his face. They have called him crooked and a criminal to his face. Because let's face it, that's what the man is. But he and Matt have a nice cute little sit down at a diner where they have some tea and it's lovely. They're catching up. And I had wondered, I still wonder, if Echo will make an appearance on this show. And during this meeting, he references her. He mentions her, but he doesn't say her name. He talks about how he was mentoring someone, but it didn't end well. He also mentioned Spider-Man, which was kind of nice. Kid dressed in a spider costume in Queens, you know. But I hope we get more of Echo than just him offhandedly mentioning her. Like, even if he mentions her again later on, that would be cool because he is a big part of her story. But this obviously takes place after the events of her show. Now, episode 2 comes out of the gate just as hard as episode 1, with 3 dudes fighting on a train platform, and one of them has a very bad encounter with a train. Hector, who is White Tiger, is intervening because he thinks it's some guy getting jumped. Doesn't realize the 2 dudes confronting him are cops, and honestly, their behavior didn't scream law enforcement. Like, they were probably undercover, but even then, they were quite aggressive. Matt, being who he is, happens to overhear Hector getting beat on in an interrogation room by cops because they're saying he pushed the guy. He didn't push the guy tripped and fell. But of course they're going to say he pushed the guy. My question is, as somebody who is from New York, is where's the CC footage from the subway platform? Because there's always CC footage on the subway platform. But I watch a lot of true crime, and I wouldn't be surprised if it just disappeared or the cameras weren't working. But it also doesn't seem like anybody is looking for the footage at all. So maybe we'll just go with there isn't cameras down there. Nothing to check. Gotta take people's word for it. Now, Matt decides he's going to represent Hector, figures out he's White Tiger, calls him out on it because he needs to know everything, and manages to get that off the table. Nobody can mention that in court, which is a genius move. Although I thought it was funny when he was sitting in the courtroom for his trial, and he's, you know, obviously the district attorney is there representing, you know, the state and law enforcement and everything. And when he walks in, Kirsten goes, "Oh no, it's the Hawk." I want to know if this guy goes around calling himself Hawk, because his last name is Hawk something. I can't remember what it is, but like, I want to know, does he go around calling himself that, or is that just what other people call him? Because I kind of feel like he decided to start calling himself that. You know what else I thought was kind of weird? When they went to Hector's apartment and talked to his wife, the fact that they have a landline in their kitchen, that caught my attention right away. And I'm like, I need to know what decade they're living in, because they have a wall phone in the kitchen. I haven't seen that in years. I don't know. I was like, oh, that's fun and interesting. They clearly haven't updated their apartment since the 90s. But the episode ends with Matt finding this guy that was getting beat up on in the subway because he needs him as a witness to the situation. Although he didn't really stick around long enough to see the guy fall, which I don't blame him. I'd have hightailed it out of there too. Although, if he's getting beat up on by undercover cops, are they crooked cops, or did he do something and they were watching him? I have questions about the situation as a whole. Because again, true crime brain is going, right? Were they undercover because they were watching him, or are they like shitty cops that just picked on him for whatever? But anyway, Matt finds him in his apartment because with his super hearing, he has learned that the cops are coming for him and they're gonna take him out because they don't want no witnesses to speak against them. Which kind of pushes me in the direction of these cops were up to no good. Matt has him hop out the fire escape to, I believe it's Jerry that's waiting for him. And he's the only one in the apartment when the cops walk in and they're like, "Oh, you're the lawyer." He's like, "Mm-hmm." And these cops have no problem beating up on a visually impaired individual. Which again, It's pushing me towards these guys have a problem. Now, he lets them smack him around for a bit before his inner Daredevil comes out, and he lays these dudes out cold. I mean, they are down on the floor. I don't know if he killed them or if they're just unconscious. I guess we'll find out. Although I think if they come back to consciousness and say we got our ass beat by this blind lawyer, it's not going to look good for anybody. Because why were they there? Why did they get their ass beat by a blind lawyer? Why did he feel that was necessary? It's not going to look good for them. And everyone's going to wonder how this guy managed to do that. It ends with him screaming, Matt screaming. And I think he's angry because he doesn't want to do this anymore. But I'm sure this is the beginning of him coming out of retirement. Like, he's not going to be able to hang it up for very long. I was surprised when Fisk got elected and everybody came out into the street. Behind him, a girl runs screaming for help and somebody's chasing her, and he doesn't even, like, do one of these. I was shocked. I thought, like, his urge to help people would just take over and he'd be like, oh, let me go save that chick. But he was too busy staring at Fisk on a rooftop. But whatever. I guess maybe that was supposed to be like, he's serious. He's not superheroing anymore. But I think after this incident in the apartment, either he's really going to double down on I'm not getting involved for a while, or he's going to just jump full back into it by episode 3. And that'll probably be the case because I'm pretty sure I saw there's only 9 episodes. So Daredevil's going to be daredeviling probably sooner rather than later. And I read somewhere they're filming a second season of this, like, right now. Like, now. So that's fun. If that's accurate. We're already getting to season 2. But anyway, I loved this. It set my expectations very high for the rest of this season. And I'm very excited to see what else they're going to give us. I just really wish they wouldn't have taken Foggy away. That was messed up. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Be excellent to each other. Bye.